Hey guys, it's Mike the Scrapper. Today I'm at a company that buys computer e-waste, such as motherboards, hard drives, things like that. That's pretty much all they deal in. I'm here now. We're going to take a look, see what we have in here, what we're going to sell, and what are half of these things called to help you guys out next time you go to the scrapyard and you don't know what these boards are. So let's go inside and find out. Okay, tell me what this is here.
And that would be considered a finger card, but essentially it's a expansion slot card out of a server for RAM. But then you've got network cards, graphics cards, old modems, all that type of run-of-the-mill stuff. That sound cards, stuff, any cards that are going to be on any of the PCI, ISA, AGP, any of those fun different slots on the motherboards on your servers and desktop towers are where you're going to generally find your PCI, your finger cards that everyone's talking about.
Oh, okay. And this here, you would classify it as...
This is a slot processor motherboard, so this go with your large sockets. Basically anything P3 and older, so for the most part, time-wise, you're looking at pre-year 2000 for the most part, you'll be seeing this type of stuff. You might see a little bit of this in the early 2000s with some of the late iterations of the P3 higher 1 gigahertz range processors.
Okay.
And these guys here, this is a large socket. This is a Pentium MMX technology board, from a while ago. These would have the black fiber or green fiber Pentium processors in it that we talk about quite often. Another slot processor board, and then this here, a lot of guys, if you don't notice a while, you know what's on here. This is an old compact desktop, with the old EDO RAM from back in the day. This is likely either had a Pentium ceramic chip on it or one of the later 486 variants on it.
Okay. And
small socket desktop processor. Motherboard, this is an IBM, most likely out of like a ThinkCenter, sort of like the Lenovo brand stuff, all the same. This is this is an Intel board, but as you can see the LGA 775, these are the ones with the flip slot where the processor actually goes in there. Those are where your pinless processors come from. And basically your pinless processors in these boards are your small socket, but your lowest of the low grades, and depending on which vendor you're working with on the other, anywhere in the low twos to some guys are paying around $1 a pound on these now because they're not very desirable from a refining standpoint.
okay. And what is this mix?
This stuff is all your mid-grade peripheral board type stuff. You find that this here is likely like a cable box, or it's not a DVR version of it, but a cable or satellite box for your television. You got some of these boards that are coming out of LCD TVs that are actually in the LCD panel themselves. This guy here, that is out of an LCD TV. Got all the different video inputs that are in it, and it sits on the back of the TV flat.
Okay, and what else can you show us that's different than what we're looking at here?
And some of these boards, like this, looks like out of a probably Cisco or HP, one of the big name brands of networking gear. This would be your high grade or your telecom board. It's pretty good. It's not completely populated with chips, but it's a step above the motherboard grades.
Okay, now what would that be like per pound? What would you get for something like this per pound?
Depending on which vendor you're working with, somewhere in the $4 to $5 a pound range.
Nice.
You're looking at generally. Server boards here. Let me get you a couple of examples. These are two different called dual socket server boards. They come in two sockets. You have some server boards that do have a single socket, but they're not very popular. Most of the time, guys will throw them in with the large socket desktop boards. This is this is what they're calling, what some guys out there are calling the small socket desktop, or small socket dual socket server board. So these are actually like a Pentium 4 and newer server board, and then these are one of your older server boards with the large sockets on them. You know, that some of the guys are paying, you know, the mid high threes to the low fours on, whereas these are like, you know, like $3 a pound. I mean, for argument's sake, right now, the processor refiner we work with, they all go together.
Okay.
We haven't found a need to sort them out yet. Trying to create a
From hard drives.
Logic boards, they're all different types in here. Generally, you can look something like this. These are out of IDE hard drives, out of a desktop. Then you'll have the SATA hard drives. We've got the different power connector, and then you got, and then these are like out of older servers, the SCSI logic boards. The littler ones that you see that are like don't have much on one side, but you flip them over. Those are ones out of the 2.5-inch laptop hard drives. Those are the most common place to find those. And then here, so your run-of-the-mill server backplane. This is out of an older HP server. These logic boards are actually what plugs into them in the server, and this is where your hard drives actually go into the servers. So that's where they connect into to give you an idea of where they'd be coming out of the server from.
Okay.
These type of backplanes, which are found in some desktops, but mostly in servers because of the way the form factor, where they got to sit in a rack, go on the motherboard on the surface, and then it rises up and allows you to put more cards into the server for essentially for expansion purposes. P4 newer ones, you got the heat sinks that are like this as well, and then you got the ones that are copper variant of these. Those go generally with your number 2 copper that's out there.
So you would sell the heat sinks with the copper as you would sell them as a number 2?
Yeah, generally it should be graded as number 2 copper. If you're not getting that, you're getting screwed.
Okay. Do you have anyone here with the copper heat sink?
Copper, I got them upstairs.
Upstairs. Okay, not a problem.
Various power supplies out. These big guys are going to be out of servers. You got and then pretty much everybody should know what a CD drive or floppy drive is. I mean, and here are your peripheral, what's we consider a peripheral and mid-grade board that comes out of the floppy, not the floppy, the CD-ROM drives.
CD-ROM.
Floppy drives, generally the board is low grade, so it's not worth the time to take it off because time is money, and if you're spending time pulling off something that's worth 10-15 cents a pound,
Exactly.
or something you're already getting 15 cents a pound for,
oh wow,
you didn't really gain anything. I mean, you got your old parallel port printer cables, VGA cables, and these are off your ribbons. I mean, those you can clearly see. That's like that's a male connector, so you can see the exposed pins, but then your other ribbon wire has got the female end, so you can't see it. Okay, so those are your Pentium Pros. They're not very common. You're found in your older servers. These generally, on average, weigh around 3.1 ounces. So it doesn't take too many of them to make a pound.
To make a pound, exactly.
And you're looking at, depending on who's buying them, usually around $15 to $20 a piece, or or some guys buy them at a price per pound. I mean, it all depends on who you're working with on them.
Okay. Now,
then you got your these are your older Pentium ceramics, but they're gold cap and bottom. So like a double. Some guys call them like a Pentium double gold.
Oh wow! Now,
some people like to sell them with the Pentium Pros because they're similar, just less weight. And this is just 2 different variants of the same chip, just depending on which computer they were in. They're basically a little bit larger. Pretty much pay the same, but obviously you got a little more weight to it, so obviously you got more value.
Now, for CPU chips, how many do you think on average you would need to actually make some money with gold? So you extract the gold and make some money with them.
I mean, like if you're refining yourself?
Yep, if you were going to do it yourself.
I mean, there's a lot of talk online about these. I mean, people estimate that there's anywhere from, half a gram to 1 gram of gold recovery per chip if you have the proper setup to recover.